And join Councilwoman Gibbs in our pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sister.
Please pray with me. Almighty God, you are the source of all that is good and true. As we prepare for Independence Day, we give you thanks for our city, our state, and our country. We are grateful for the freedoms we enjoy and the opportunities we have to serve one another. As we celebrate, we ask for protection over our community. Guide each person to make wise decisions, and bless our first responders with strength, courage, and safety as they serve. Help us to be mindful of those around us, inviting, welcoming, and caring for our neighbors in ways that are full of your grace. Please be present in this meeting. May every thought, word, and action reflect your love and bring about peace and understanding. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Call to order our regular meeting. It's Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. Item number 2, public comments, community announcements, and recognitions. We have one comment, but this is for something later on the agenda, so we'll hold on that for now. Item number 3 is the consent agenda, items A through F. Anybody have any issues with the consent agenda?
Nope.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Without further comments, please cast your votes. Okay, unanimous approval for all those present on the consent agenda, items A through F. Item number 4, items removed from the consent agenda. There were none. Item number 5, acknowledgement and signing of the Code of Ethics for elected and appointed officials. Did everybody have a chance to sign and return to Madam Biggs, or Gibbs? Biggs, sorry. Jeez. The G's are getting on me. Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need to
Motion.
make a motion for that? Okay.
Please. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Please cast your votes. Unanimous approval for all those present, acknowledging the signing of the Code of Ethics. Item number 6, Finance Committee appointments. Discussion, consideration, and possible action to confirm the mayor's appointment of Mineka Gibbs, Brian Bothroyd, and Grant Aguirre to the Finance Committee for 2-year terms expiring on May 3rd, 2027. Any questions, comments, concerns on that?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's cast your votes.
How about Saran?
Okay, unanimous approval for all those present for the Finance Committee appointments. Item number 7, Street Committee appointments. Discussion, consideration, and possible action to confirm the mayor's appointment of Jeff Taylor, Tracy Williams, and Deanna Denning. Somebody corrected me the other day. I was saying your name wrong for 11 years.
It's okay. You're not the only one.
To the Street Committee for 2-year terms expiring May 3rd, 2027.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Okay, if there's not any further comments or discussions, please cast your votes.
How about Saran?
Okay. Unanimous approval for all those present for the Street Committee appointments. Item number 8, the amended LWCF project grant agreement, increasing total funding and extending project term. Mr. Faulkner.
Yes, Mayor and Council, you'll recall October 2024, we authorized a resolution to request additional funds to supplement what was needed to complete Phase 1A out at Owen Field. At that time, we approved the resolution, submitted it to OTRD, subsequently to National Park Service, to request the total grant amount be increased from $1 million in grant funds, $1 million in local funds, to a 50-50 split of $4.7 million, so 2.3 and some change from the federal government and 2.3 from the city. So we were successful in getting that amendment. It's a huge step forward. This time we would recommend approval and entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Anybody have any questions, comments for our city manager?
I think it's great. And it was definitely needed to be able to move forward with the project.
Anybody down here? No? Okay, we're good. Okay, I had a motion. Did I get a second?
You got it.
Did I get it? Okay, all right. Further comments or questions? Please cast your votes.
All votes are in.
Unanimous approval for the amended LWCF project grant agreement. Item number 9, Highland Park Pool, discussion, consideration, and possible action to take any action necessary as it relates to the Highland Park Pool. Eddie again.
Yes, Mayor and Council, following the April 1, 2025 City Council meeting and presentation by both GH2 and Crossland Construction, staff requested that GH2 and Crossland investigate and propose 2 additional pool designs at the request of both the City Council and members of the public. GH2 and Crossland presented the additional options and proposed budgets to the City Council and the Parks Board in a special workshop meeting on May 20th, 2025. GH2 has outlined the details of each proposal. A site plan has been provided, and Crossland has prepared a cost estimate for each of those proposals. Those items have been attached into your packet. As a reminder, the CIP Oversight Committee and City Council previously allocated $2 million of CIP number 2 Growing Guthrie funds to this project. I will say that in the time since we had the last meeting, I believe there's a private pool committee that has existed prior to this initiative, CIP number 2, who's been passionate about funding improvements at the pool. It's my understanding that committee has grown more active and is seeking additional funding options through members of the public, through donations, et cetera. I believe Joe Chappell is here on behalf of that committee. I assume there will be others joining at some point maybe. But at this time, what we need to do is first hear from Mr. Chappell and the private pool committee, and then we need direction as a staff as to the next steps on this project. So the private pool committee and the funds that they're going to raise or what they intend to raise, we need to set that goal, that timeline, and know where we're headed. I distributed the schedule to you that was prepared and originally approved for the pool. So if we had been on schedule, construction would begin like next week. So we're now behind on that schedule. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Having a pool for summer of 2026 is probably off the table at this point. I'm not going to say it's completely off the table. There's a lot of factors that go into that. But the longer that we wait, the more that we're seeing cost issues. We're seeing the impact of tariffs on utility parts, water lines, sewer lines, et cetera. We're seeing increases in fees, tariff impacts, et cetera. So all of that to say, we would like to hear out the pool committee and explore that conversation, and then have a conversation with council about what the next steps are for this project.
Also, just to add on to that as well, we had a pool presentation, what, a month ago? When was that, Eddie?
May 20th.
May 20th, okay.
Yes.
And we had the company that we've hired to give us plans show up. We had many of the members of that pool fan group, I guess we'll call it. They came as well, and we had people talk publicly. It was before that meeting. It was kind of, to kind of give the narrative there, it was kind of expressed that the CIP, no more CIP funds can be reallocated towards the pool, so it would need to be done privately. That was stated to them there. And so they took it upon themselves to say, okay, well, if that's what we have to do, we'll make that attempt. So that was kind of the takeaway from that meeting to them. So they took it to heart and went and have tried to do it, and actually have been very successful so far, and we'll get to that here in a second. So just kind of add more to the story. Mr. Joseph Chappell, would you like to? We're formal here.
Hey everyone, I'm Joe Chappell. I live at 519 North Park Street. Used to be a lifeguard at Highland Pool years and years ago. It was my first job. My favorite job, probably, just sitting in the sun all day and getting paid to do it. Calling our group a committee is a real compliment, and I appreciate that. The first time I was invited, Carol Side, who's sort of, I guess you'd call her the chair of our group, the first time I was invited to her house was before the pool closed. And she wanted to start what I sort of think of the group as the Friends of Highland Park Pool. And she wanted to raise funds for Adirondack chairs and lounge chairs. And I honestly don't remember how many we used, but I know that we have 30 or 40 that we've never used because we bought so many. She said, well, if we get them cheap now, we'll have them 15 years from now and it'll be a deal. So we bought a bunch of chairs and umbrellas and lounge chairs that are in storage. Anyway, then when the pool closed, you know, we met several times, and I think I've been to 5 meetings all told. You know, we met to see about getting the pool reopened, and as time went on, and you know, where we find ourselves at today, you all are considering a 1,500 square foot pool, if I'm not mistaken. And we, in our last meeting, since we knew that this was going to be on the agenda, I'm here to request that, and you know, we have pledges right now for over $240,000. Now pledges, you know, someone pledges some money, and then if you come up with a pool that they don't like, that money goes away. But we do have that, and it hasn't been a lot of work, and I certainly don't. Several of the members are very gung-ho, and I remember our first meeting, one of our first meetings when we were talking about raising money, said, I want to raise $10 million. And I was like, well, good luck with that, right? So, but our hope is, we don't know how much money we can raise. And we may not be able to, you know, make a dent in anything. But I'm here asking you on behalf of these people that care passionately about the pool to give us a month and to see what kind of money that we can come up with. Recently, since I got involved this last week, I drove to Cushing and I looked at their pool, and I don't know if, and that Cushing it's more of a water park, I gotta say, and here's some pictures that I took when I went over there. They have over 400 people at that pool every day. Of course, you can say it's a water park, it's not a pool. And I don't think we're gonna get this, but I just drove for inspiration, you know, and then I drove up to Hennessy, and I think I've got some pictures of that. Smaller than Cushing, but still a really inviting place. And then the other thing that, you know, Cushing has 8,327 people, and Tennessee has a population of 2,151. I'm sure those cities don't have some of the problems that Guthrie has with infrastructure, and but it would be interesting to me to see if we get this committee out on the street and approaching you know, people here in our community, banks, companies, you know, what kind of money can we get up, and can we make what we're being, you guys are considering, is there a possibility to make something better? So that's really my point. I had seen in one of the things that really interested me last week, and it was in Chris Evans had posted in the Guthrie news page, or maybe it was even on his private Facebook page, about the Alva pool. Did any of you get to see that?
I actually saw it in person. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
And you know, that was a pool that 8 years ago, I guess it was very similar to ours.
Money was donated.
8 years ago, the state health department closed that pool, and it was a historic WPA pool. And I don't know that ours is that, but it's definitely historic. This one was the largest in the state. Alva has a population, I think, of about 5,000 people. But, you know, after that happened 8 years ago, they just opened the pool, June 21st? And I haven't seen it. And if you look at a picture from overhead, like on Google, it doesn't really tell you anything
You
about
can
the
see it on
size.
Facebook probably if you see.
I don't know how large it is or anything, but, you know, what happened with this pool, and I don't know that it could happen here in Guthrie, but a committee of citizens worked with the city for the hearings, design plans, and eventually the fundraising drive. And they chose the designer and the company to build it. And then there was a family that donated a large amount of money in honor of someone in their family that had passed. And then there was a share trust for Charles Morton, know nothing about it, but it was a $1 million grant that it was a matching fund so that they would donate as other people donated. Well, they ended up building this, and I don't know that there's a lot, but they, at least according to the article, they said that they had no sales tax or cost to citizens were required to pay for the project. I don't know that that will happen here, but I'm just here, you know, requesting that maybe that you grant us a little time to see, you know, what the possibilities are here in Guthrie. So, thank you for
Do
your
you
time.
think 30 days is enough?
I don't know, but I mean, in 30 days, you'd know, I think you'd know whether there was some, you know, whether there was some inertia there or movement, you know. I don't know, and you know, I've changed my mind on this so many times, and one of the things when I was talking to Eddie the other day, I learned quite a bit when I was talking to him yesterday. But you know, when we're in this room with all these different people, there's a lot of different opinions. You know, we don't agree on anything. It's sort of like you guys. And that's not true because you guys do, 99% of the time. But, you know, somebody wants a covered pool. Somebody wants the pool just like it is. Somebody wants diving boards, you know. So there's a lot of different perspectives. But I just feel my concern about the small pool, and I just, you know, only 111 people can go in that. Is that exact?
102.
102. You know, when you get something new and shiny, even if it's small, a lot of people are going to want to go, and only 102 people can go inside. And the other thing that concerns me about it is that we're spending more money on the building than we are on the pool. And, you know me, I like history, but that seems a little backwards. It's like having a big band stage with no place to dance. Sort of, you know, like a bathhouse with no place to swim. So, anyway, and no, I don't, Brian, I don't know that it's enough time. This project in Alva took 8 years.
I know.
And part of my thought too is that it's easier to raise money, and there was some confusion when the signs went out, because like I thought they had the money for the pool. It's easier to raise money, I think, for a pool when people don't think they have one. You know, if the possibility of this small little pool went away, would people be more willing to donate, to do something bigger, to do something greater? I'm glad that, you know, you guys are here to make these decisions. So,
on the estimate, the small little pool was 1.6 million, right? On the estimate. And again, this is just all an estimate. You know,
The total.
once it goes out to bid, I think you're going to see a drastic different number come through.
We hope not. I mean,
Well,
that's the
I'm
beauty.
talking, if you're doing it next year, you're gonna.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
and,
So,
you know, the other thing that concerns me greatly is that, you know, these pools that I went to, it was really cool, that zero entry. But you're talking about zero entry in a large pool. You know, when you're talking about 1,500 square feet, the zero entry is going to take up about half the pool. You're into that. I don't know. It just seems like to me you're ending up with 500 or 600 square feet to even swim. And when something's new, even if it's small, I think you're going to have more than 100 people show up, and people aren't going to be able to get in. And I just, you know, I know public opinion, you guys can't win, sort of, no matter what you do. But I just think that could be a really bad look. Like this small little pool, people lined up, and only 102 people got in today. You'll have to come back tomorrow. A lot of things for you guys to think about.
So the
And I-
1.6 million, what were you saying?
Option A, the 1,500 square foot pool is a total estimated cost of 2.1 million as of April 16th.
And you know, a 1,500 square foot pool is about, you know, 2 backyard pools. 3 at max, right? And 2/3 of it is zero entry. So there's not even, you know, there's not deep end. Those are just things I've thought about in the last day, and tomorrow I'll change my mind.
Well, that's why I asked, is that enough time? Because Alva's project was 8 years.
Right?
One family donated 1.2 million plus into that project.
Yes.
And so, I mean, that's
But
what
it might be
I think we need.
something,
I think we need
I
some
mean, it
guidance.
might be something that you just could reconsider a month from now. You know, it would be motivating maybe for us to have that time limit, you know, to try to see who, but, you know, if we didn't go forward with the pool, if we have another couple of years without a pool, is that more motivation to get people to raise funds?
Maybe, I don't know, but why don't you, what's the guidelines of donating money to a city? Corporate-wide, I know what it is, but
Well, I will
government-
tell you what we set up and whether this is, you know, a great idea or not, but, you know, just like the flags that I've been doing for Neighborhood Solutions for the last how many years, we just opened an account at Neighborhood Solutions called the Oh Glory Project, and anyone who wants to donate to the flags on Main Street can. And you can get a tax write-off of that because they're a nonprofit. So I approached Sue Ducharme and told the Friends of the Guthrie Pool that, you know, maybe we could open an account there. Now, I don't think there will be any money deposited anytime soon, you know, until they know but that money was going to be separate, and how it would be given to the city, you know, we haven't even thought about, you know, we haven't thought about that, but very much the same way that Alva did. I mean, we could probably learn something from them. But we've got an account set up that can hold funds through Neighborhood Solutions.
And you're at 240,000?
It's not there. That's just
But that's what's
pledges.
been pledged.
And I doubt very seriously that money will come in until, you know, ground's being broke. It's complicated stuff, guys.
Well, it's very complicated because you made a caveat a little bit ago that if they don't like the direction we go with the pool, money goes away.
Well-
So if we wait and money gets raised and we're sitting here at committing to a
Right.
3 million plus pool,
And that's just speculation on my
Well-
part, Brian, too, because, you know, if someone's very adamant that they want a big pool and we're getting 15, you know, if we go up to 2,400, I don't know that they're as motivated to donate,
I don't know.
unless you've got something like Alva.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know either.
Right, I don't either.
So if you go all the way to the top and what is the biggest pool we got? 3 point some million all in?
So the first proposal, which is what you've had before you, is the 1,500 square feet at 2.1. The second proposal, option B, is 3,000 square feet at 3.5, let's call it 3.6. And then the compromise, or the middle option between the two, is 2,300 square feet at 2.8 million.
And of course,
2.9.
The other thing, too, is that those other, Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong, that those other 2 designs are just drawings.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because if we commit to this, then we're gonna have to have engineers go in and do the whole, and we're gonna be
Oh, I
hundreds of
know.
thousands in it.
I know.
And then if so, what you're saying is if they don't like what we do and then they pull the money, then where are we at?
Well, I mean, you'd have to agree on the design,
But it wouldn't,
probably just like Alva did, you know, and I don't know if that, you know, there was a citizens committee.
Well, you also have- you have
It's
a chicken and egg.
complicated, guys, I get that.
There's a chicken and an egg question here too. There's a difference between the donations and the pledges.
Pardon me?
There's a big difference between the donations versus pledges. So
Yes.
The chicken and egg question, at some point, the money needs to be in the bank from both sides, privately and from the
Right.
city,
Right,
before we start spending a ton of money from the city on planning, designing,
It'll
Right.
engineering.
It'll just have to be when the 30 days are up, whoever the the people donating is there is no backing out. You're going to have to be in, so.
I don't know, it's
Or you don't
really
count.
complicated.
Well, that's why I brought that up, Adam, because he
Yeah, I mean-
mentioned right on the front end.
Yeah, and
they don't
you're-
like
you're
it,
so
they back
right.
out.
Yeah.
But
well,
it's just,
So,
it's complicated,
Yeah, it have to
and
be donated. There's
like
no
Brian
back-
said, I don't know that we don't need more time. I mean,
that's why I'm.
don't rush, sometimes, I can't remember who said it, someone said it to me, don't rush the wrong deal to not get the best deal, so. And I don't have a strong opinion either way, and I've already decided that no matter what happens here, I'm going to be happy with it.
So a couple things, Joe, I'd like to share. As a result of our meeting yesterday, they brought up Cushing Pool. Cushing was mentioned to me as soon as we closed this pool. I met with Terry Brandon, who was the city manager at that time, and that pool was built in 1999 for $1 million. 1999 for $1
We
million.
just didn't start soon enough,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, we're just a few years behind. Hennessy, and what you're seeing today, post-COVID construction costs are 350% plus anything pre-2020. Hennessy was completed in late 2019, early 2020. That project was designed, bid, and constructed before COVID. So we've seen it not just with the pool project, but with every project we've had. And let's take Owen Field, for example. We waited on a grant for 3 years, and construction costs in 2020 went from $2 million to 5.4. So now the city's in at $2.3 million so that we could get the grant when we could have built the park
For the money.
for the money. So now, again, COVID, post-COVID, hyperinflation, we've seen it across the board. The Hennessy Pool, I understand that both of those options, those are nice options. Those are great options. When we look at the options that we have in front of us, we have to say, okay, what is going to be the best compromise between the council? And then you've got the CIP committee, who has invested a tremendous amount of time into these projects. And then you've got this private pool committee, or Friends of the Highland Park Pool, who are now raising funds for this. So I think the best path forward is to say, okay, what's the goal of the Friends? What's our timeline? And when we come back in 30 days, if it is option B, and that's the goal of the Friends, it's a 3,000 square foot pool, it's $3.6 million, the city's got $2 million, you need to raise $1.6 million, you got
In
30
4
days.
weeks, no problem.
Joe's gonna write a check.
I think,
I am so,
Write a check, Joe.
Eddie, if I might, I know initially when the CIP committee met together, we had allocated $2.5 million to the pool. Since then, some changes had happened, and I'm not sure when or where that had made a change, but $2 million are now to the pool. I know both of those communities are smaller than Guthrie, so I know in sitting in with that pool committee, the goal is to have the largest pool that can be available and constructed to the community. So, the goal is to have the largest pool that can be available, and that's the goal. So, if the goal is option B, which is a 3,000 square foot pool, and that's how much money they're trying to raise within 30 days, then that's the difference. And that's how much money they're trying to raise within 30 days. So I know the goal is to have the largest amount of swimming space possible for our community.
And I understand that, and I respect the Friends' position. That is a decision the city council gets to make.
Yep.
And has made. And so the city council gets
And
to
I'm
say,
Thank you, Joe.
thank you, guys.
Appreciate everything you do, by the way.
yes, thank you, sir. That is a council decision, and that's up to you as to whether or not, how far you want to go with that conversation. I admire the passion. I think it's great, and I'll say from a staff perspective, we would love to have a bigger pool. It's a funding question. And yes, you're right, CIP number 2 did allocate $2.5 million to it. if you'll go back to that chart, $2 million was a cash allocation. So that $2 million in the cash allocation, yes, there's an additional $500,000 there through the term of CIP number 2, not today. So what I've done with each of these projects, and even with our regular annual budget, is leaned on a conservative side and brought you a project that is always in budget.
Okay, so do we want to see how much money they can raise in 30 days?
I'll make a motion for that.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions down here on the,
But I think there needs to be some caveats, like Eddie and I were talking earlier, and I think multiple ones of us have talked. The CIP came in, I wish this would have happened when the CIP was happening. I really do. And the reason I'm making a motion is not to circumvent what the CIP committee did. It's because there's a passionate group that apparently wants to work towards trying to raise more money to get a bigger pool.
it's outside CIP money.
It's outside CIP money. I just wish that it would have been in conjunction with the CIP
Sure.
committee. That's where I'm going with this.
Right. Well, I don't think they,
Because what, they have put a bunch of work into this, and I would like, if we do this, Eddie needs a definitive timeline. Is 30 days it, and then it's a cutoff? It's either you raise it or you don't, we move on with Plan A that the CIP committee brought to us? You know, is that what we're looking at? Because CIP brought the 1,500 square foot pool to us. And that's what they recommended, and that group collectively is smarter than any one of us sitting here. And, you know, that's what they brought.
well, remember, but that's
So-
just a group saying with X amount of money allocated, this is what we think should be done with it.
I understand.
And so now
We
there's,
didn't choose a pool, we chose money.
I understand.
right.
Well, let's.
We chose a committee, is
Let's,
what we
okay,
chose.
so just for clarification,
So-
the CIP committee made a recommendation on an allocation in a resolution. They made a recommendation on the projects and the allocations. The council adopted that resolution January of 2024. In the time frame that we've had all of these projects move forward, staff has presented these projects to both the CIP committee and the respective boards and council. And that's how we got here today. So everybody has seen the pool, they've seen the project. CIP committee saw the pool in December. The Parks Board saw it for the first time in November. So these committees have been involved in the design, and they're aware of what the size of the pool is from the beginning. I just want to make sure that that's clear and on the record.
Eddie, you said something earlier. You said that probably right now we've already missed opening for 2026, correct?
That's,
So what would the timeframe be if 30 days is increased, 60, 90? When would we need to move forward to realistically open the following year?
I think that's a question for the architect and their workload, so.
And how much is stuff gonna go up? Steel, concrete, equipment that has to go inside the,
That's something,
I don't think that's foreseeable.
that's something that I think is really, really hard to protect.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that, Jeff. I wish I did.
yeah.
I don't think there's a problem giving 30 days, but where I'm going with this is I don't want to see it all of a sudden be 8 months down the road.
I don't think anybody
And now all of a
does.
sudden we're looking at a pool opening in 28,
Yeah.
you know, that type of scenario. And I do think that the CIP committee that we all partook in putting together should meet with that committee once the money, or meet with us again and look at it as well potentially, or not. That's going to be up to council.
I mean,
I got a lot of,
nothing's changed from what the CIP decided. That was, you're giving them money, allocate X, Y, Z, they allocate X, Y, Z. This private group says, okay, great, can we personally give more money to this, just to do more? I mean, this is not
yeah, no, I agree
going
with
back
that.
on CIP. And we had this pool meeting a month ago, or in May, and there was half the CIP was here, and they said to those individuals, hey, you want a bigger pool, go raise the money. Well, they are.
Then I think that's why we're given the timeline.
Right, that's, 30 days.
So,
That's it.
Can I ask a quick question of Joe? Just one more question. Do you guys, as far as the pool, committee. I'm gonna call you
I didn't wear my hearing aids, I have to get close.
I'm gonna call you a committee, the pool committee.
Okay.
Do you guys have a preference as far as, I know there was like Pool A, which was the one that CIP brought forward, Pool B and Pool C, which is C was the largest and obviously the most expensive.
It would be Pool C because it's bigger.
Okay.
Oh, no, B. B's the biggest one?
Yeah,
B's
it's
the
confusing because.
Yeah, B would be the biggest one.
Okay, so
You know, I know
ideally,
and this is another thing that threw me the other day was that if you go with B, then you've got problems with the building having enough bathrooms for the
Exactly.
number of people. Yeah, it gets really complicated.
yes, and the guttering system.
The
I
guttering
believe, was
system,
a
yeah.
increased cost.
So how does that work? We never even considered that until you just brought it up. But they've been the same size bathroom with a pool that's what, 5,000 square feet?
Yeah, but rules changed since
Yeah.
then.
Rules have changed.
True.
Because, one of the things that I had pitched to our committee because of that guttering system, I call it a committee too now, thank you, was 2 pools. Because I went to Stillwater to the country club and they built 2 pools side by side. And I couldn't figure out why, that was why.
Yeah.
Because of that guttering system. And then I went to a neighborhood in Edmond called Chimney Hill. They had 2 pools side by side because of the guttering system. And one was more of a, shallower type pool and one was more of a swimming type pool. But yeah, doing 2 pools, but see, then that creates problems with the number of bathrooms and handicapped accessibility. If it was easy, everybody'd do it.
Okay, so is it a scenario where the group tries to shoot for the 3.5 and if they miss, then they hit the 2.8?
Is the money being pledged strictly for B?
B.
Pardon me?
Is the money being pledged strictly for B, the choice
No.
for the largest?
No.
They're giving all the options, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Knowing that it may not reach the goal of
Right.
option
right.
Right.
preferable.
Shooting for the moon. That's why, I think that's why when that first meeting I went to, she said, I want to raise $10 million. And I was like,
Well, maybe she can.
would that be great? Yeah.
Well, is there a way to say a pledge is made?
But I also didn't expect, and
220 and a.
yeah, I didn't even expect the amount of pledges that we've got either, I was like, oh, well, if we raise 50,000, that'll be great.
Pledge and cash are 2 different things.
Wouldn't it be a good idea when you take a pledge for somebody to say, I want this option versus that?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Then you'll know.
Yeah. But too, if you're, I don't know.
So
I just know that like when I even went to Perry and they've got an old traditional pool like ours sort of, except it's narrower at one end than the other. But they have a splash pad park right next to it. And on the fence around the signs, it said like so-and-so bank, Dr. da-da-da, and the signs were about this long. And I thought, well, that could be cool at the pool because then you could, I'm not going to mention any banks by names to call them out, but
Advertising.
yeah. And it wasn't intrusive either, because they were about that tall, about that long, black with gold lettering, and they were on a black fence, chain link fence. But I know that Carol has taken pictures of every 89er t-shirt that has all the sponsors down the back of it because that's all the places she wants to hit up for the pool. And we just really haven't started to do it yet. Why, I don't know, but like I said, we're not an organized committee. We're just a group of people that like the pool, so.
So I know I've reviewed the rough draft of the request letter, or the donation letter, and it hasn't specified any option of pool size. It just requests funds for Guthrie to have a larger pool.
And I know that the committee had invited the councilman from our ward, and we never wanted to have a quorum, so I know that all of you weren't invited. But it was primarily the councilman from Ward 1 that we had invited, and they certainly weren't. Mineka's probably only been to 3 meetings or something since she got elected, but this is something that's been going on since before the pool even closed. I mean, there were a lot of there were several donors buying the chairs. And, the last year, I don't know if you remember, the last year that pool closed, in my lifetime, it had never looked that good. It had the red umbrellas and those Adirondack chairs all around and the white lounge chairs. That didn't happen when I was working there. About the only place to sit was in the lifeguard chair and the stairs that people would fall down. So, anyway, thank you.
Thanks again, Joe.
There's a motion made. Did we
And
get
a
a second? Maneka said a second for, give them 30 days. Anybody have any other comments down?
That's it.
Okay, is that a clear motion? We are understood on what that is?
30-day timeline. And we'll revisit at that point, see where they're at, and then the council can take action.
Sounds good.
is
Yeah,
that-
yeah. Okay. All right. No further discussion. Cast your votes, please.
And if you all would like to donate,
Yes.
just let me know.
Anybody like to donate?
All votes are in.
How about pledge?
Okay, unanimous approval to extend time to the Highland Park Fan Club, since we don't know what to call it. Okay, item number 10, City Manager's Report.
Yes, Mayor and Council. It is budget season, so you're going to hear me say that frequently. We are working through the budget now, and as I mentioned previously, we're looking at a flat budget in the general fund for fiscal year '26. I'm happy to report the department heads have worked very hard to keep their budgets in line with what's proposed, with minimal increases up to this point. We will be closed Friday for the 4th of July. Saturday will be the return of Red Brick Nights with fireworks a-poppin'. The fantastic fireworks show brings a ton of people out. So if you've never been, I would invite you to come and partake in that. July 15th, we will have the City Council orientation. I've not heard back that anybody has a conflict, so I'm assuming that we will have a full council for that day. Just a reminder that OMAG pays us to participate in that orientation, so it is important that we have full participation if possible. If you've been around town, I'm sure you've noticed that Little Britches is here. We know when they're here because you can see them, you feel it, you go to the store, you go to eat lunch, and you see the presence. Happy to announce that next year will be the first year of the National Junior High Rodeo out at the Lazy E, and that is a contract that will be here. I believe it's 10 years. Don't hold me to that. Tenny's given me the yes. So it is a multi-year contract. Little Britches will be moving to Oklahoma City next year, but we will be gaining the National Junior High Rodeo. So there is another rodeo coming to the Lazy E. And with that, Mayor and Council, I did share an update with you via email on the waterline project. So BNSF has given us the approval on the permit to get the Cottonwood Crossing replaced. We have also been told, as I shared with you previously, that the water line that parallels the track between Warner and College is going to have to be relocated between now and October 2026. So construction has to start by then. So that's something we'll be preparing for and bringing to you at a later date. Getting ready, contractor has ordered the materials for that, and we're getting ready for that. And then the last thing I'll share with you is the West Side Water Tower. We are working to bring it back online, so it has passed all the required testing and is being refilled. So with that, Mayor, that's all I've got for you.
Thank you, Mr. Faulkner. Item number 11, request comments from members of City Council. Councilman Williams.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Denny.
I have none. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Taylor.
Staff, thank you. Y'all didn't say a whole lot tonight. I'm glad that Dan said that. No, anyway. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate all that. I'm glad you got to talk to you this morning about that as well on the pool. And I think it'll work, Joe, if we get everybody together on it. So other than that, that's it. Never know.
All right. Councilman Aguirre.
I don't have any, thank you.
Councilman Bothroyd.
Nothing this evening.
Councilwoman Gibbs.
Nope, not right now. Thank you very much.
Wow, only Jeff had something to say.
Now, you beat me to the other stuff I was going to say, so.
Yes, I'm also excited about Red Brick Nights coming back. I'm hoping to see everybody to that. There's also a Guthrie Comic-Con that's happening, so look into that. I believe they have a Facebook page set up. Bo, when's the date of when that's happening?
October 24th through the 26th.
Yeah, okay, but we're starting to get buzz for that now, so that's kind of exciting. Other than that, that's all I have as well. I do want to thank the pool group for doing what they've done. They meet every week, sometimes twice a week, and to raise what they've already raised so far in such a short amount of time is very impressive, and I appreciate all of their efforts.
Now, is that a group or a committee?
I call it fan club. I call it the pool nerds. I don't know what you want to call it. They've mentioned that about themselves. I don't, committee. They've said different things. So
I like collective.
collective, yes, great group of citizens that I admire. So, okay, with that, we are adjourned, and we will call to order our City of Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting, regular meeting. Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. Item number 2 is the consent agenda, items A through H. I'll entertain a
So moved.
motion there. Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second on items A through H on the consent agenda. No further comments? Sorry, Tenny got up. I was like, I see something wrong with the consent agenda. Cast your votes, please.
All votes are in.
Okay, unanimous approval from all those present on the consent agenda. Tenny, you got up. I thought you were going to say something about it because you had a problem or something. I was like, item number 3, items removed from the consent agenda. There were none. Item number 4, certificates of substantial completion for sections B and C of the wastewater treatment facility, Young Contracting LLC. Tenny Maker.
Yes, Mayor, Council, basically this is just house cleaning efforts. The final certificates of substantial completion applies to our Section B and Section C of our wastewater treatment plant facility. The completion dates of these projects was July 1st of 2024. Both projects have been inspected by authorized representatives, the owner, the contractor, engineer. We've all found that they are all substantially complete, and this is just a portion of the process.
So,
Any questions for Mr. Maker?
so you need a motion?
Yes.
Okay, entertain a motion, someone?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Question and a second. No further comments or questions. Please cast your votes.
All votes are in.
All right, unanimous approval for the certificates of substantial completion for sections B and C of the wastewater treatment facility. Item number 5 is task order number 172 with Myers Engineering, water main replacement. Mr. Maker again.
Yes, again, Mayor, Council, this is, again, just basically kind of house cleaning efforts here as well. This is specific to the 12-inch water line, the emergency water line crossing that we're putting in. This is just specific to task order 172 for Myers Engineering, authorizing their engineering services, as well as the BNSF railroad permit fee and the ODEQ permit fee. To add to the city manager's report, we did get word back today, late today, the DEQ permit was approved, so everything is good to go now with this project.
So they just need this finalized right here and we're good.
Yes, basically, we have, you've authorized us to spend the money for this project. This is just bringing the specific task order to you guys, in front of you guys, so.
Okay. Need a motion again? Anyone like to make one?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further questions or comments for Mr. Maker, please cast your votes.
All votes are in.
Okay. All right, unanimous approval from all those present. Thank you, Kenny. On task order number 172 with Myers Engineering, water main replacement. Item number 6 is a memorandum of understanding between Gpwa and Langston University. Mr. Faulkner.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we are currently negotiating a new contract with Langston University for water purchase. In fact, we received the draft back from the university this morning. Myself, Tenny, and Justin, and City Attorney Wheeler are working through those changes. It was originally a 20-year agreement that is set to expire or has expired as of June 30th, 2025. This MOU will allow all terms of the contract to remain the same, except that it will extend the expiration to September 30th of 2025 or after a new agreement has been approved. This time, we would recommend approval.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any more questions or anything about that? It's just a
Second.
temporary, right, Eddie, just to get us down the road?
That's correct, until we can get the new agreement
The new agreement, okay.
completed. Yep.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Okay, please cast your votes.
Councilwoman Gibbs.
All right, unanimous approval from all those present on the memorandum of understanding between GPA and Langston University. And with that, item number 7, we are adjourned.